Hi guys, it's Jeff at Slavens Racing, and I just returned from a trip in Baja, and I want to share with you my setup for there. So this bike, most of the things done to this bike were already done a long time ago. I've got a separate video out on that, on the whole build on this bike, but I made a few changes and did a couple little upgrades before I went to Baja, and also of course serviced it from front to back. So, my main concerns for this trip were tire selection, gearing, comfort, and with comfort I mean just comfortable suspension, comfortable seat, all that kind of stuff. But mainly, like having those bags on there versus having a bunch of stuff on my back in a backpack. So, and then the fueling. So I wanted to make sure that, this thing was going to run well down there on the Mexican gas, because some of the gas stations down there do not have premium. Their gas quality is actually way better than you would think, but some stations only have an 85 octane regular and diesel, and that's all they sell. And that can be a really new station, or it can be an old station, and some of them have premium also, but we stopped at a couple that only had regular, so I was, slightly concerned on that. But I've got a Get ECU in this bike, and I can tune that with my phone app. So, I knew that wasn't going to be a problem. And I did make some minor tweaks to it while I was down there. And some of them I actually used for a day or a few hours, and then I reversed them or made a change, a little bit different change. But that was really not a big deal at all. If you've got a good running 500 that's mapped with a different ECU, the stock ECU, I'm sorry guys, just flat doesn't work. You got to go to something else. We've got the Gets, the Vortex, and then we've got another new one in the works here. We've got a bunch of them in stock that we haven't put on our site yet because I'm still doing the testing. I forget what they're called. I think they're called the AIM. But anyhow, go down there with just a good running bike that's set up for sea level fueling, and that all worked just fine. So I'll just go over a few little things here that I changed. On the front, I should back up a little bit here. So I don't know Grant Polanski, but he's well known for riding Baja, racing, riding, whatever. And I know a lot of guys, some guys that ride with him, and a lot of guys been around him, and sounds like a good, honest, straight shooter. So through the grapevine, I found out what tires he's using. He uses an M59 Bridgestone on the front, which is a tire that I absolutely love, but I was concerned about it holding up for 600 miles. So on this trip, on the way down, I stopped in Arizona, visited a friend, and we did an 85-mile loop up northeast of Scottsdale. It was really rocky. It was Jeep road type stuff, and I just did that as a kind of a shakedown ride to make sure everything was working for the Baja ride. So I had, with that ride and then Baja, I had about 625 miles or so on the bike. And I was concerned that the M59 might not hold up well enough for that length of time. So I went with another tire, the Moto Z Tractionator Enduro ST. And I have used this tire some here in Colorado, not a lot. I need to do a lot more testing on it, but we've got a couple of testers here in Colorado that have been using this tire for quite a long time and I absolutely love it. So I went with that on the front because I knew it would hold up longer. I've also got a Nitro Moose Platinum in the front. That's the one that has a 12 to 14 PSI feel to it. And I also put balancing weights on the wheels. You definitely want to have balancing weights for any type of a dual sport ride. You don't want your wheels jumping up and down when you're going down faster dirt roads or pavement or whatever. And that really smooths them out. And on the back, I used what Grant loves and what a lot of other guys love for that application, for dual sport, desert riding, trail riding, whatever. And that's this IRC M5B. This is an extremely gnarly tire. It's probably the gnarliest tire we have. You know, this one's got 600 plus miles on it and it still has a heck of a lot of tread life left. I measured the height of the knobs. They're about 12.5 millimeters. I measured a new one off the rack at the shop, and they're a little over 18 millimeters tall. So it's a really gnarly knob. And I also measured several other tires we have in stock, and the knobs range anywhere from about 12 millimeters to 15 millimeters. So even after 600 plus miles, this tire still has more knob left than some of our brand new tires. It's a very impressive tire. It's not my go-to tire for my 300. I won't be running one on the 300 because on my 300 I ride primarily really tight, gnarly trails that I need all the grip I can get just to get up them. And this is not a gummy tire. It's not a super hard tire. It does have some give to it, and I'll post the barometer rating on our site and what it is. It's not super hard like a motocross tire, but it's not a gummy either. It's somewhere in between. And I have absolutely no complaints whatsoever. I was very impressed with this tire in all the conditions down there. And that was anywhere from rocky to hard packed, sandy, loose, just shallow sand, deep sand, a little bit of everything. And so I went with a soft mousse on the back because I wanted to have the traction that a soft mousse will give you, the plushie, Nitro Mousse plushie. Because I do not like standard pressure mousses on the back because you just give up too much traction. They really kind of degrade the performance of the tire. So I went with the plushie on the back. I was a little concerned that the plushie might not hold up, but I talked to Jeff at New Tech, who makes them, and he said, yeah, no problem, run it. So I did. It still works great. I'm going to put on a bunch more miles on this tire. I'm just going to add some lube to it. And speaking of that, I always put a valve stem in these mousse setups. And the reason I do that is so that I can add the gel, the lubricant through that hole. I have a syringe with a threaded end on it, a hose with a threaded end that I bought at a bicycle shop, and I put the lubricant in there and I just push it in, and that way you don't have to break down the tire to do it. It's just much slicker that way. Because like I mentioned before, for my 300s I always run tubeless. I absolutely love tubeless. I went with these because of all the cactus down there, and I was concerned about having issues with the tubeless, but in hindsight, the tubeless would have worked just fine if it had just some sealant in it. Next time I go down, I might run tubeless. All right, so other things are the soft luggage I put on, this giant loop Mojaves. I've used these many times. This blue color is not available any longer. I bought these a few years ago when I had a Husky. And but these Mojaves work great. And this is a small bag on the top here that I don't think they even offer anymore, but they have a bigger bag now that goes here. Or, it's got loops. You could put in your own little bag right there if you wanted. But, and you definitely want a good muffler guard. To keep the heat off the bag, so you don't end up with a melted bag and your stuff falling out the bottom. We've got several different brands of muffler guards, and all the other ones are real narrow, and you would have to put 2 of them on there to get really good coverage. So I went with this one. I think it looks good. It works well. I don't care for the price point. I think it's a little on the pricey side. I've called Ron, the owner of E-Line, a couple of times on this and busted his balls about the price, but he says he just doesn't have the margin to get it down much yet because the hardware is expensive. It's not so much the carbon fiber piece. But anyhow, I'll keep working on that. I don't know if it'll get me anywhere or not. But so Another guy on the ride had Wolfman bags. Those seem like a good setup as well. We also have those on our site, and as well as these giant loops. Everything on this bike is on our site, slavensracing.com. And in the bags, so on one side I had a lightweight climb jacket. It's like one of their underlayer jackets. I think it's maybe called an Inferno. I'm not sure. I'll put a link to those on the right below the description in this video. But I had because in the evenings it cools off in the desert, and when you're going to dinner and stuff, you need to have a jacket, or if you're out there working on your bike or whatever. So I had that lightweight climb jacket in there on one side, plus a like a low top tennis shoe in there, because you don't want to wear your motorcycle boots to dinner. So, and then on the other side, I had a pair of jeans and a t-shirt and the other tennis shoe, and then some socks stuffed in there, and maybe a couple other little things. Up on top here, I had a spare pair of regular lightweight gloves and a few other little goodies. In my backpack, I had some winter gloves, because I've been in Baja before when it was damn cold. So I had those as backup. I don't remember what else I had in my backpack. I didn't have very much in there. Oh, a lot of food stuff. Kate's power bars and stuff like that to keep me going. We also stopped every single day and found someplace in town or out on the road, out in the boonies a couple of times, and got what we call backpack burritos. And we just stick them in our backpacks and munch on them throughout the day. Let's see here, guys. So fueling, this bike has a 3.9 tank on it, and that tank under, just average riding conditions will go 225 to 250 miles. I did have to loan some gas to another guy once who had a small tank. So it was a good thing that I had the Exxon Valdez tank on there. And let me see on the other side over here. Okay, gearing. So I built these two wheel sets just for this ride with the mooses and this tire selection, and because I've got several sets of wheels, and so I've got the stock gearing on here, although it's not the stock sprockets. So it's a 48 tooth DDC sprocket. That's I believe it's a plated chromoly steel sprocket. They've got a really good warranty for mileage, and they work and last a long time. So the stock gearing on this bike is 1448, and that's what I used. It worked extremely well. Next time I go down there, I'll plan on using the same gearing. Of course, you want to have a good fuel filter on, like you see right there. But that was all in my original build, which you could watch. I was glad that I put my double take mirror on there, because we were on different roads every day, sometimes going through towns, like big towns like Ensenada. It was great to have a mirror. It's also great to have a mirror just out on the ranch roads and the fire roads and stuff that you're on out over there, so that you can keep an eye on your buddies, make sure they're coming along, or every time you stop at an intersection, you don't have to crank your neck around. I'm old, my neck's kind of stiff. I put a moto-minded bomber switch on here, and what this does is, this is the kill button, this is the starter button. So before I had a starter button on this side of the bars and a kill button over there, so it just gives you more real estate, cleans it up. These work very well. I'm going to put one on my 300. I've got a GPS mount on here, but I did not take a GPS with me because one of our guys had one. And I did install this USB port right here. We sell these. They're really reasonably priced. I don't remember what, but I mounted that on there so I could, charge my cell phone if needed. There's the get map switch, so I ran it in the number 1 position, which is low elevation, and then right now, since I'm home, we got it in the Colorado high elevation position. And trying to think of what else, guys. I think that's about it for my Baja setup. So stock gearing, good tires with mooses or tubeless. I would not use tubes down there, although I did see guys using tubes. It wouldn't be my choice. There's a lot of cactus down there. Lots of cactus. In that desert environment, there's something that's trying to bite you all the time. The bushes, the trees, the cactus, the rattlesnakes, whatever. You better have your act together down there. You're going to come home with some extra holes in your body. Suspension. So this bike, with my previous setup, already had the Slavens Mule Lucky fork cartridges and different springs, and then the Slavens Mule National Shock on the back. So that Slavens Mule designation means that those are settings that I've developed with MX Tech, who makes those products. I've been working with Jeremy at MX Tech for over 30 years on different projects, and he builds excellent quality products, and this is my setup for Rocks and Roots. I thought it might be a little soft for down there, but I just went there and didn't touch a clicker because I didn't touch a clicker previously because I knew that this suspension has a lot of adjustability, and I just thought I might have to stiffen it up or something while I'm down there, but I didn't touch anything. And it was incredible. I mean, absolutely incredible. I even called Jeremy when I got back and raved about how well the suspension was. The bike was extremely stable. The chassis stability on this bike is off the charts. And then the compliance, it just soaks up everything. It does not wiggle and wobble. It does not have that magic carpet ride suspension that I hate, that, you don't feel anything on the trail and they bottom easily and they wiggle and wobble all the time. I can't stand those kind of suspension revalves. This bike is, it's a weapon, and it was badass down there. Anywhere from the trails to the rocks, the sand whoops. One time we did, miles and miles of sand whoops, and I was just pinning it in fifth gear through that stuff. And that's not my normal type of riding. I'm more of a lower speed technical guy, but I felt very comfortable on this bike, very confident with it. And I think that's about it, guys, on my setup. But I would like to talk to you for just a minute about going down there. I think that everyone should experience Baja at least once in a lifetime. If you live out of the country, if you live on the East Coast, whatever, do what you got to do to get down there. It's quite the experience. To me, it's more of an experience than extremely high quality riding. For dual sport, it's great. I mean, that's some of the best dual sport riding you can do. For trail riding, yeah, they've got a lot of great trails down there, don't get me wrong. And don't get butt sore if you're a guy that frequents down there on the trails. But, Colorado trails, in my opinion, beat what's available down there. It's hard to beat Colorado trails, plus all the beauty and everything up here. But it's an excellent place to ride, but it's more about the experience. The experience of being in a third world country, meeting the people, the food, the customs. It is just so different. And if you've never been there before, you might feel like a fish out of the water for a day or two, but you'll gel, you'll find your groove. And I can't say enough nice about the Mexican people. They're welcoming, they're helpful, they're warm. They'll always bring you some good food. And just remember that you're in a foreign country where you don't have any rights, and it's not your country, so be extra nice. If you're putting together a group to go down there, leave that one jackass that's in your group at home. I mean, there's always that guy in every group, and he's just going to make it miserable for you while you're down there, because he's going to be way out of his comfort realm being in a different country, and he's going to be on his A game of being a jackass. So I'd highly recommend, and the reason I'm mentioning this is because I saw a couple of those guys while I was down there, and they're embarrassing. when you cross back into the U.S. on the way back, you'll understand what I'm talking about. American people are a little, not all of us, obviously. I'm talking in general terms, but the Mexicans are just kinder and gentler people. So, you know, be nice to them and tip them. You know, they make, you know, what they make in a day or a week might be what you make in an hour. So tip them heavily when you're down there. You know, places like My Sky Ranch and Melling Ranch and all those places that are out in the middle of nowhere, those ladies working those places don't make hardly anything. So help them out. They all have families. They're very family-oriented people, and do what you can to help them. All right, I'll get off that subject here and move on, guys. I hope this video helps you. I hope you get down to Baja. It helps us if you would like us on Facebook and Instagram and subscribe to our YouTube channel. The most important thing is to get out and do some throttle therapy and help out on your trails if you can. So that's all for now.